Hello, this is Devon, slave name Bankit. Today's topic is going to be about corporal punishment. I had a discussion with a friend of mine last night, and she was telling me how she whooped her granddaughter. Matter of fact, she didn't say whoop, she said, I beat her. Now, I have a philosophy that I need to get your opinion on. I don't think that there's no reason in the world to hit your offsprings. Now, if you notice, I called them offsprings. I did not call them children or kids. I call them offsprings. Ironically, we have grown offsprings that we keep calling our children. So that's something that I think that we should adapt. Offsprings. But anyway, she told me that she beat her grandchild. Oh, she said she whooped her. So I said, what could a child do to make you want to hit a child? And she said she left the house, she went into somebody else's house, and she was in their backyard playing. Now, I got to tell you my philosophy. Never, ever hit your child. And why? Because a child looks at their custodian for love, leadership, guidance, peace, happiness. And it's a foundation that this child looks for nothing but positive. When you raise your hand and hit your child, it shatters all that child is thinking that a custodian's job is. So, I had a long talk with her, and I've talked to many, many, many people. As a matter of fact, there's a young lady, husband that used to work for me. We went out to eat. She hit her child, and I talked to her about it. 6 years later, she called me back. She said, Devon, based on that conversation, the same conversation I'm about to have with you, she said, I haven't hit my kids in 6 years. She said, I would never hit my kids. So let me talk about me. My mother was horrible. My mother beat us for some of the most insignificant things that you could ever imagine. And I didn't say whoop, I didn't say spank, I said beat. My mother beat us with extension cords, anything she could get her hands on, but the extension cord was her favorite. She would beat us until blood came out of us with this extension cord. Now, I remember what I felt when my mother would do that to me. So I made a conscious decision at a young age that I would never, ever whoop my children. One son, I did whoop, I think, a couple times in his life until I realized the vow that I made to myself, and I never did it again. None of my kids ever got hit, spanked, whooped, beaten, or anything like that. In my opinion, a child has a child's mind. Now, I have to share this with you. The first 5 months of a woman's pregnancy is the most important, the first most important time of that child's life. That child is feeling all of the emotions that that mother is experiencing at that time. So what's happening in that mother's life, that child's encountering too, through the umbilical cord nerve center. The second most important part of that child's life is the first 5 years when the brain is developing. And if that brain is developing and you hit your child for any reason, what you have just done is taught your child this. I'm upset with you, and this is how I react when I'm upset. So a person who loves you has a right to hit you. So remember, the child's brain is developing. Now, you may say, oh, no, that's not what that means. Well, you're thinking as an adult. So you're teaching that child someone who loves you has a right to hit you, which causes that child to think, especially if it's a little girl, that my husband loves me and he could beat me because my mama did. Now, please understand this. I have a friend of mine that she was battered. Her husband busted her in the head, busted her skull, and she had a pattern of going into violent relationships. And I couldn't understand. The girl was attractive. She had a lot going for her. She's very smart. But I couldn't comprehend why is she constantly going after guys who are abusive to her. Well, I asked her one day, I said, because I guess I figured it out, I said, was your father abusive? And she said, yes, he was. So as a child, she saw this abuse. Because a child's mind is like a sponge, she interpreted that what she saw was normal. And when it happened to her, she wasn't shocked because that's what she saw. Beating people comes from slavery. And that's what the slave owners did to us. Now, I don't know if you've ever gone to a circus, but if you ever gone to a circus and you see lions, bears, tigers, elephants, well, those animals have gone through excruciating pain to be submissive to that trainer. And what most African descent people have been taught is to beat your kids to be submissive to you. And if beating your child was effective, you could go, if you want to test to see if it's effective, go to the prisons and ask all of the African descent males, did your mama beat you? And I'm 99% sure 99% of them will say yes. And if you go back in your life and think about it, if you're honest with yourself, when your mother or your father whooped you, did you stop doing whatever it is that you were doing? And if you ask me, the answer would be no. I just tried to be slicker and not get caught. So it didn't preclude or prevent me from doing what I got a beating for, even though it was atrocious. And I would have to go to school with whips all over my body because my mother was crazy. Should have been put in jail and never ever had any children. But it didn't stop me from doing those things that I wanted to do. So if you ask the question, so what should you do with a child who does something wrong? The first thing you should realize, that child is thinking like a child. He or she is not thinking like an adult. So you are thinking like an adult. And most of the times when a parent whoop or beat their children, they're not hitting them because of what their child did. They're hitting them because of the stress and everything that they're going through. Bad relationships, money problems, work problems, car problems. So they got all this tension already built up, and that child can do something that a child will do with a child's mind, an adolescent's mind, and because of what you're going through, you take it out on that child. But at the same time, you're teaching that child, go hit your classmates when you get angry with them. There's so much that child is interpreting from you hitting them. Take their stuff. Don't let them go out. Well, kids are not going outside anymore, but find out what that child really, really likes. Take it away from them. And if they're very, very little, make them stand in a corner. Punish them to the degree. Now, what I did with my kids and my grandkids, and I'll tell you, because I did hit my kids, when they had kids, they didn't hit their kids. As a matter of fact, my grandkids, I would always scare to make them think I was going to hit them, and it worked for a long time until they got about 12. And one of my granddaughters looked at me one day, she said, "Peepaw, you always count to 2, you never get to 3. She said, we all realize you're not going to hit her, so. But they were never bad. But anyway, take things away from them. I made my kids write a sentence. When they got in trouble, I will never do blah, blah, blah. 500 increments at a time. The first violation is 500, second is 1,000, third is 1,500, and make them sit at the kitchen table, and they would say, my kids used to say, "Dad, can you just whoop us?" I said, "Oh no, I love you too much to hit you. I would never hit you." So I instilled in them, if someone loves you, they should never hit you. And my kids turned out to be great kids. My grandkids are even better. Tell me what you think.